Welcome. Today is Wednesday, July 12th of 2023. My name is Juan. I've worked as a guide for the Central Park Conservancy since 2018. I recently, or about a year ago, took leave. I am back. I've been back for a couple of months now, working on the back end of these operations and also meeting a lot of you on our in-person visits throughout the park. I'm very happy to reconnect with our longtime virtual walkers, all the new connections that have been made in the last year, 2 years, and all of you watching on YouTube. As you know, we have a YouTube channel where we upload these videos where you can come back to visit. Please say hello on the comment section and let me know where you are tuning in from. And if you visited Central Park, I know many of you actually have. We'll be together for some 20 minutes. And our walk today is going to take us to some of the beautiful colors that are popping up in the park this time of the year. Our mission here at the Conservancy is to preserve and celebrate Central Park as a sanctuary from the pace and pressures of city life, enhancing the enjoyment and the well-being of all. And before we continue, a little bit of housekeeping. As you know, we're using Zoom to connect. Everyone is muted and only my video feed is on. Please feel free to use the chat, as I mentioned, to say hello. You can connect to this tool on the bar that you see at the very bottom. You can also use it to enable closed captioning as well. Let me see if I can actually do that on my end real quick over here. So to enable it, yes, caption settings. And yes, they are enabled and you should be able to turn those on for a more accessible experience. Any questions, just let us know. Ryan, again, is on the back end helping answer any questions that you might have. You can use the Q&A feature to submit those answers. And on with our walk, but first, a little bit of exposure to this incredible place that we have in the middle of Manhattan, Central Park, running from 59th Street to 110th Street and occupying 843 acres of land built between 1858 and 1872. And the landscapes that we are focused on today are located more or less in the central section of the park on the western side, right along 79th Street. And this is the route that we are going to follow. To see is a brief walk, but there will be a lot to see and we'll expose you to how the park is looking nowadays. And immediately as we stand along Central Park West, across the street, right next to the American Museum of Natural History, we look into the park, and this is the vision that we get. This is one of the many entrances along this western section, and already we can see some beautiful colors in this golden rain tree that we have off to the right-hand side. A very special tree, produces these beautiful golden yellow flowers that last a good week and a half, almost 2 weeks. And the flowers and later on it'll produce flowers that will be air-filled, basically air-filled capsules, making them look like Japanese lanterns. And of course, from this image, we can pick on all of those details, but already you can see some information, visual information that can highly interest you. Entering into the park, we encounter the beautiful greenery that distinguishes this iconic space. Everything is looking very clean, and directly ahead, I want to distinguish this sign that we have on this lamppost here, as it's something that I submitted on our social media channels a few years back, and I'm very happy to see it as a sign in the park, letting our visitors know that we all have a big impact in the park. Little things like carrying out our trash goes a very long way. And you can express the impact that Central Park has had on your life by using the same hashtag and connecting or exposing or sharing that information on Twitter or Facebook and so on. We're going to venture into our landscape of interest, which is not going to be the regular promenade that we saw in the previous image, but rather this trail, this gravel covered path that is off to the left hand side as you enter and once you go past that sign. And this is the entrance to a landscape called Naturalist Walk. And it's just a small section of this very naturalistic landscape. In it, you can encounter log benches like this one that you see here, a perfect place to sit down, have a picnic, relax, and just observe nature. And getting up from these benches, we can continue along the trails, along the path, and we encounter this incredible greenery that juxtaposes incredibly with the chaos of the city. And considering that we are so close to Central Park West, to have this in the middle of Manhattan truly is a treasure. And already we can begin to pick up on some aspects of interest on our walk. For example, these yellow colors that we see, this yellow color that we see off to the right-hand side. And upon closer inspection, we can see they are cup plants that flower this time of the year, a type of wildflower that attracts a lot of birds. It provides a lot of food and even water as well. For as the name suggests, the leaves of the plant, which can grow to be up to 10 feet tall, these are in essence mini skyscrapers, they collect water. And you can see it reflected in this one over here where I'm using the mouse to distinguish this V shape. Whenever it rains, water will accumulate in this section here at the top. Perfect opportunity for birds to stop by and use this as a source of water. And in the fall, the seeds will attract a lot of golden finches. So we're looking at landscapes, and they're not only unique today, not only do we have things of visual interest right now, but throughout the year. I always communicate that it's almost as if we have 4 central parks rolled into one. And moving around this beautiful display, we can see other areas, other sections that have bloomed more. I always confuse these for mini sunflowers, but as I started work with the Conservancy, I've learned a great deal more about plant life, and very happy to say with accuracy that these are cup plants. Now we're going to exit this section of Naturalist Walk and continue exploring, continue visualizing beautiful colors of this season. We're going to leave from this small section and make our way over to Shakespeare Garden. A beautiful setting, always something to explore. We've conducted previous visits. I think we were last there with Carla in April, and Ryan has also taken you on several locations in previous seasons. As we connect to this landscape, these are the promenades that are going to take us there. I took these photos. By the way, most of the photos, except for one, were taken by me a couple of days ago, and I waited for later in the day, closer to 5 p.m. So to be able to capture these long shadows at different times of the day, you also have different experiences, even with the shadows that are casted in the park, which is very interesting to think about. Let's see. So, and as we go across the drive from this landscape where we were before, we enter into our next landscape of interest. The structure that you have directly before you is called the Swedish Cottage. And this is a building that came into the park in the early 20th, at the turn of the century, 19th to 20th, after the World's Columbian Exposition, an event that was held in Chicago in 1893. And technologies from all over the world and cultural achievements and contributions by countries from all over the world exhibited at this incredible historic event that happened in 1893 in Chicago. By the way, as I understand that Frederick Law Olmsted, designer of Central Park, also designed the grounds for the World's Columbian Exposition. The Swedish Cottage, which was installed at the Swedish Pavilion at the fair, was transported into Central Park and has served several functions, but today it is known as the Marionette Theater, the Swedish Cottage Marionette Theater, operated by a New York City organization called the Historic House Trust. And the Historic House Trust puts up these incredible marionette shows inspired by children's classics. Now, the 4-acre landscape that we are about to explore, Shakespeare Garden, is right next to the Swedish Cottage. And the garden itself is meant to resemble in English, cottage garden. Sorry that the cottage is Swedish, but New York comes full of surprises. But we have the full effect. We have the cottage and we have the beautiful English garden with this beautiful naturalistic railing enclosing it, this welcoming set of steps that once we climb up, we are welcomed to maybe relax and sit for a few moments and rest from the walk that we've already engaged in. And Shakespeare Garden became focused on Shakespeare in 1916, specifically in 1916, in part because of celebrations that were happening all over the world, celebrating the tricentennial of Shakespeare's death, and this death or birth. I have to check on that particular detail, but officially dedicated on April 23rd, 1916. I'm pretty sure that's his birth, I think. Or no, but never mind. Moving on, so many details about Central Park and so many beautiful things to see. This garden here, our topic of interest, are the flowers that are in bloom really year-round. And already here, directing our attention to the right, we see purple garden of phloxes and scarlet bee balms. The bee balms are serving their purpose. We can see several pollinators on them, bumblebees, collecting nectar and reflecting on the very original vision for this space. Yes, this was officially dedicated to Shakespeare in 1916, but a garden was first created on this site in 1912 by one Dr. Edmund Bronk Southwick, a New York City parks entomologist. And he envisioned a place for public school children to study plants and natural history. And he called it the Garden of the Heart. Yes, before this being called Shakespeare Garden, this was called the Garden of the Heart. And Southwick, who was an avid Shakespeare fan, also included four large planting beds with flowers found in Shakespeare's literature, and which was also intended as a teaching tool. And if you walk through this garden, I'll give a couple of references. You'll see plaques next to these plantings as they are referenced in Shakespeare's literature. And you'll see examples of what I'm talking about. But today, close to 100 of the plants that are mentioned in Shakespeare's plays are presented in this beautiful formal space in the middle of Central Park. This is a rendering of the beautiful phloxes. There are plenty of them throughout the garden. And continuing our walk, we see a plaque that lists the details of restoration of when the Conservancy restored this landscape in the 1980s after decades of neglect really. And framing this plaque, we also see these beautiful blossoms here called floss flowers. And right next to them, we also see these zinnias in white and also in the yellow. And we know from Shakespeare's writing that flowers have incredible symbolic meaning. They have meaning in our lives. But in Victorian times, zinnias were associated with thoughts of an absent friend or a friend you hadn't seen in a while. And more generally, today, they can symbolize friendship, endurance, daily remembrance, goodness, and lasting affection. And I always love a walk through Central Park because being exposed to these beautiful colors always triggers those attributes that we have bestowed upon these beautiful creations that we share this beautiful planet with. Now, continuing north, we see that there is more of visual interest. There are more phloxes, the purple, and these brown spots that you see. I think Carla showed you in April how they looked. These are alliums, and alliums produce these beautiful round purple flowers. I think it is the color, yes. And later on, that color fades, and this is what we are left at this time of the year. And moving on, in addition to those phloxes continuing north, we see this beautiful flower bed containing several lilies, several varieties of lilies. Upon closer inspection, we are dazzled by the beautiful pink colors of this particular variety. There's also the yellow kind over here, yellow ones with plenty more that will bloom in the days ahead. You can see these buds over here in the background. These were the ones that had come out at the time when I when I visited. And right next to these lilies, we have this plaque over here listing a quote where lilies are mentioned in Shakespeare's King John. And the plaque is a little bit hard to read, but it reads, "Of nature's gifts, thou mayest with lilies boast." Beautiful words, inspiring. I cannot really connect to the essence of this particular body of creative work, but amazing inspiration if you know where these are referenced. And continuing on, we see more that can be of interest to us. Fluxes are really dominating today's virtual walk, but upon closer inspection, we can see these angel trumpets. I was amazed when I saw these flowers for the first time a couple of years back. I still remember one of those things that really marks your experience, and they are called angels, trumpets, as I mentioned. Some of them, they can also be known as angel tears as well. And be careful with this particular plant, as all parts of it are toxic. But beautiful form and beautiful varieties of colors as well. Next to these angel trumpets, we have spider flowers. Oh, and this is a detail over here of one of those trumpets. But moving along over here, these are the spider flowers. Cultivated wildly as an ornamental plant in temperate regions and again, numerous cultivars will produce different colors. I love just how different it is, how varied. And I was surprised to learn that this is a plant that is native to South America. Now, there are some details that we are continuing to investigate. For example, where are some of the plants, if there are more plants listed in Shakespeare's plays that maybe are not referenced in plaques. Again, more work can be done and more can be explored. So be on the lookout for future walks exploring the beautiful variety of flowers that we see in this area and these beautiful red, orange, yellow lilies as well in the near vicinity of those spider plants. Now maybe a good time to take a rest. Shakespeare Garden features several rustic architectural details. This rustic bench over here is accentuated with these beautiful black-eyed Susans. Black-eyed Susans are in bloom, some of my favorite flowers of the summer season. Beautiful yellow petals and very dark center. Now we're going to take some steps. We're continuing north, and as we take these steps, we approach this timepiece, this sundial. I cannot tell what time it is. It was a very cloudy day, therefore the shadow was not clearly marked. But by the time I took this photo, I think it was maybe like 5:30, if I'm not mistaken. If anyone knows how to read a sundial, let us know in the comment section. Is it easy? Is it hard? Is it something that I want to pursue? But very special detail here. And I love it because it kind of makes time feel still. It really pauses time. And what better way to explore this dynamic of timelessness by walking through this last section of the garden where there are several evergreens. For example, you can also see that there's a plaque here to the left-hand side, and it references a type of plants in this section of the garden. There is "Hi ho, sing, hi ho, unto the green holly. Most friendship is feigning, lost loving mere folly. Then hi ho the holly, this life is most jolly." And we have several holly trees in the vicinity to complement this incredible detail from Shakespeare's As You Like It. You see, there's a lot of greenery, yes, but also some sparks of colors. The last bloom that we are going to check out is this. It's from this trumpet vine. If we take a closer look at the flowers themselves, they kind of look like trumpets, and again, incredible variety, attracting different types of critters. You could guess from the shape of the flower that the type of bird that might be attracted to the nectar here is the hummingbird, a plant that has adapted as well in this very special relationship with those very, very special birds. Now, continuing on, we're going to leave the Shakespeare Garden and open our view a little bit more. Gardens tend to be a little bit closed off, and I wanted to bring you this dynamic of an open perspective from the views that we get from the Belvedere. You can see our walking figure. which will bring us to our last and final stop on our walk. And as we exit the Shakespeare Garden, we can see our stop of interest in the background over here. Upon closer inspection, we see this beautiful tower recreated, reconstructed in 2019 after the original had been lost for decades upon decades. Connecting to the Belvedere, we're making our way to the top of Vista Rock, one of the high points of Central Park, where this incredible terrace was built with this beautiful wooden loggia on the northwestern corner. A loggia that was originally built in the 1870s, however, quickly deteriorated. And for almost 100 years, this is how this northwestern corner of Belvedere Plaza looked. The Conservancy brought back this loggia in the 1980s and restored it, recreated it in 2019, complete with that tower detail that we just admired, with that beautiful polychrome masonry. And from under the loggia, we can enjoy a very nice atmosphere. This gentleman playing the saxophone is a common visitor and a common performer in this space, playing beautiful melodies. From this loggia as well, we can enjoy the beautiful views looking east. The day was very hot, very humid, but again, beautiful colors, details. We're looking back today, you almost forget about those uncomfortable weather conditions. Today is going to be a very warm day in New York City as well. Now, in looking towards the castle, we see the beautiful structure, the beautiful masonry building. This, again, visuals that are product of the restoration from 2019, and into the plaza, another splash of color as a quinceañera is celebrating, creating very special memories for this very special occasion. And this is Central Park, a place creating these providing for these beautiful memories, and just regular New Yorkers, as you can see with the female figure here to the right-hand side in her exercising attire. Beautiful memories and beautiful contrast, bringing New Yorkers together. Beautiful place to enjoy the views and hopefully keep you inspired to connect with us on future visits. Again, it's been a pleasure to be with you, to be with the Conservancy. I hope to join you on future events, our upcoming tours. One event that I'm specifically leading is our new evening art stroll that takes you to our less recognized monuments in Central Park. Is only a 1-hour event, and the days are listed here. My colleague Ryan is going to drop that link in the comment section if you would like to participate. This is the route that we covered today. Feel free to also venture on our YouTube channel, as I mentioned, where you can explore this very landscape in previous season and see what's of interest at different times of the year. I thank you for your participation. Again, very happy to reconnect. If you're watching on YouTube, let us know where you're tuning in from. Subscribe. The park, as we all know, needs us. Let us know how Central Park has changed you, or how this space impacts your day-to-day living. Use the hashtag #TheParkNeedsUs and share that on social media. I'm going to leave the room open for a few moments to help answer any questions, look back on the comments. And yeah, thank you again for tuning in. I'll see you on another opportunity. Bye-bye.